Have you ever met a woman who seemed unshakable, almost untouchable? The kind of woman who walks into a room with quiet confidence, who doesn't easily rely on anyone, who seems like she has mastered the art of being completely self-contained. To the outside world, she looks strong, independent, maybe even enviably secure. But what most people don't realize is that behind that calm exterior lies a woman who has built her entire emotional world on one principle: never need too much, never lean too heavily, never let anyone get close enough to hurt her. This is the inner life of a dismissive, avoidant woman. She's not cold, though she's often labeled that way. She's not heartless, though partners might feel as if she withholds affection. What she is, in truth, is someone who learned long ago that closeness feels dangerous, and depending on others feels like stepping onto unstable ground. For her, independence is not just a lifestyle, it's a shield. And though that shield may keep her safe, it also keeps her isolated, even in love. Picture this. You're dating a woman who rarely says, "I miss you," even when you've been apart for weeks. She doesn't flood your phone with messages or wait eagerly for you to come home. Instead, she seems perfectly fine on her own, maybe even a little relieved to have space. And when you try to get closer, to bridge the gap, she gently, almost unconsciously, steps back. You're left wondering, does she love me, or does she simply tolerate me? For many people who fall in love with a dismissive, avoidant woman, this is the silent confusion that grows over time. Yet here's the paradox. Inside her, there is often a longing just as deep as anyone else's. A longing to be seen, to be loved, to be understood. But that longing is buried beneath layers of caution, self-protection, and the unspoken fear that if she opens up too much, everything she depends on for safety will collapse. This is not just a personality quirk, it's a survival strategy, shaped by years of learning that love can be conditional, that care can disappear, that needing too much can make you unlovable. To understand the dismissive, avoidant woman, we have to see past the surface, because what looks like distance is often an armor. What feels like indifference is, in fact, a carefully managed strategy to avoid being engulfed by shame or disappointment. And what many partners misinterpret as "she doesn't care" is often the complete opposite. She cares so much that caring itself feels unbearable. When we talk about a dismissive, avoidant woman, we're not just talking about who she is in her adult relationships. We're talking about the echoes of her childhood, because attachment styles don't appear out of nowhere. They are shaped, molded, and carved into us by the very first relationships we ever knew. For the dismissive, avoidant woman, those early years often carried a subtle but powerful message. Needing too much is dangerous. Imagine being a little girl who reaches out for comfort, but finds a parent who is physically present, yet emotionally distant. Her cries might have been met with silence, or a distracted response, or perhaps with a subtle withdrawal that told her, "Don't be too much." Maybe her parents praised independence early on, proud that she could soothe herself, sleep alone, or play without needing anyone. On the outside, she looked like a strong child. On the inside, she was learning that closeness was unreliable, that comfort was not guaranteed, and that her feelings could overwhelm or even burden the people she depended on most. This is where the blueprint of avoidance begins. A dismissive, avoidant woman doesn't wake up one day deciding she will struggle with intimacy. Rather, she develops it slowly, like armor forged over years. Each time she felt her needs weren't fully met, each time her emotions were dismissed, she tucked those longings away and told herself, "I don't need anyone. I can handle this alone." And the brain, especially the young brain, is clever. It adapts. It rewires. It teaches itself that detachment feels safer than connection. By the time she grows into adulthood, this pattern feels second nature. When someone gets too close, she feels suffocated, even if that closeness is healthy. When someone expresses too much emotion, she feels a spike of discomfort, as if she is being asked to carry a weight she can't hold. Her childhood taught her that love comes with the risk of engulfment or rejection, and so she learned to keep love at arm's length. But here's the hidden heartbreak. Deep down, she still carries the same needs every child has: to be held, to be reassured, to be truly seen. Those needs didn't disappear. They simply got buried under layers of self-sufficiency. So while her adult relationships may look like she is distant, unavailable, or uninterested, the truth is more complex. She may crave intimacy, but intimacy is also the very thing that awakens her old fears. And this is why relationships with dismissive, avoidant women often feel like a dance. Partners step closer, she steps back, then slowly comes forward again once space is restored. It's not that she doesn't want love. It's that love feels dangerous, and distance feels safe. Until she begins to recognize these old patterns for what they are, protective strategies from childhood, she will continue to repeat them in her adult life, even when they cost her the connection she secretly longs for. When a dismissive, avoidant woman steps into the world of romantic love, the patterns forged in childhood do not vanish. They simply dress themselves in adult clothing. On the surface, she may seem independent, confident, even mysterious. Many people are drawn to her strength and self-sufficiency. She doesn't appear clingy. She doesn't overwhelm you with demands. She seems like someone who has it all together. But as the relationship deepens, something begins to shift. For her partner, moments of closeness can feel intoxicating, like a sudden breakthrough into her inner world. She can laugh, share, even let herself feel vulnerable in flashes. But just as quickly, she retreats. Calls go unanswered. Texts grow shorter. Plans are canceled or avoided. It's confusing because the warmth is real, but so is the distance. The push and pull isn't manipulation, it's survival. For her, letting someone close activates old fears. She worries, often unconsciously, that if she lets herself depend on love, she will either be disappointed, rejected, or consumed. And so, she protects herself by pulling away. This is where many partners get stuck, because they mistake her withdrawal for disinterest or coldness. They try harder, chase more, or press for answers. But the more pressure applied, the more suffocated she feels. What looks like indifference is really self-preservation. What feels like rejection is often her nervous system saying, "This is too much, too fast." Yet here's the paradox. She does want connection. In fact, dismissive, avoidant women often crave love deeply, though they rarely admit it openly. You might notice it in small gestures, the way she lingers in a conversation, the softness in her eyes when she feels safe, or the subtle relief when you respect her space. Those are her ways of saying, "I care," even if the words don't come easily. Relationships with dismissive, avoidant women often follow a cycle. In the honeymoon stage, things feel smooth because there's novelty and no pressure yet. But as intimacy builds, cracks appear. Her instinct to withdraw collides with her partner's desire for closeness. If the partner responds with anger or pursuit, the cycle worsens. But if the partner learns to balance closeness with respect for space, something remarkable can happen. Over time, she begins to test, cautiously, whether she can be close without losing herself. Of course, this isn't easy. There are moments where she might sabotage the relationship, moments where she convinces herself she doesn't care, or where she buries her longing so deeply it looks like detachment. But beneath the armor, there is often a quiet hope that someone will be patient enough to see past her defenses, but strong enough not to collapse under them. And here lies the opportunity for healing. When a dismissive, avoidant woman is met not with judgment, but with calm consistency, she can slowly begin to unlearn the lessons of her past. She starts to realize that intimacy does not have to mean engulfment, that needing someone does not make her weak, that love does not have to be conditional. It takes time, often a lot of it, but the shift is possible. And when it happens, the transformation is profound. She begins to show love, not only in fleeting gestures, but in steady presence. She may never become the most openly expressive partner, but her love, when it emerges, is often grounded, loyal, and deeply sincere. Healing for a dismissive, avoidant woman does not arrive in one dramatic moment. It unfolds slowly, almost imperceptibly, like the thaw of winter into spring. At first, the shifts are subtle. She notices she is less quick to shut down after conflict, or that she can sit in silence with someone she loves without feeling trapped. Small cracks appear in the wall she has built, and through those cracks, light begins to enter. But healing is not linear. Some days she feels brave, willing to risk closeness. Other days, the old instinct to retreat takes over, and she convinces herself she doesn't need anyone. That push and pull is part of her process. What matters is not perfection, but persistence, the courage to return again and again to the possibility of connection, even after fear tells her to run. For many dismissive, avoidant women, healing begins when they finally allow themselves to acknowledge their own wounds. For so long, they've worn independence like armor, telling themselves they don't need help, don't need comfort, don't need love. But beneath that shield lies a younger version of themselves, a child who once reached for care and didn't receive it, a child who learned that depending on others was dangerous. To heal, she must turn toward that younger self with compassion, not judgment. This is where therapy, self-reflection, or a safe relationship can become transformative. With the right support, she can begin to name what she once denied: her loneliness, her longing, her quiet ache for closeness. Naming it doesn't make her weak. It makes her whole. And in that wholeness, she discovers that intimacy does not erase her independence. It expands it. One of the most profound shifts happens when she learns that vulnerability can coexist with strength. The first time she says, "I was hurt when you pulled away," instead of shutting down, it feels terrifying. But when that vulnerability is met with care rather than criticism, a new pathway opens. Slowly, her nervous system rewires itself. What once felt unsafe begins to feel possible. Partners, too, play a role in this healing. The ones who succeed are not the ones who chase or demand, but the ones who model steadiness. They hold boundaries with kindness. They offer closeness without suffocation. They do not rescue her from her fears, but they do not abandon her to them either. In their presence, she begins to test the idea that love can be both free and secure. And here's the beautiful paradox. As a dismissive, avoidant woman heals, she doesn't lose her independence. She redefines it. She learns that true independence is not the absence of connection, but the freedom to choose it without fear. She can stand alone, but she no longer feels she must. She can lean into love, not as a trap, but as a choice. In the end, the journey of healing is not about becoming someone else. It's about reclaiming the parts of herself she once buried, the tenderness, the need, the desire to be seen, not as flawless and untouchable, but as human. And when she steps into that truth, her love becomes something rare, not loud or dramatic, but steady, grounded and deeply real. For those who love a dismissive, avoidant woman, remember this: her walls are not the absence of love, but the evidence of her fear. If she is willing to heal, and if you are willing to meet her with patience and clarity, what emerges can be a relationship unlike any other. One built not on fantasy, but on courage. Not on illusion, but on growth. And for the women who recognize themselves in these words, let this be a reminder: you are not broken. You are not unlovable. Your avoidance was once your survival. But survival is not the same as living, and you deserve not just to survive, but to love and to be loved. Fully, freely, fearlessly.